Last year when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to build one of the best Evo 8s out there. We accomplished our goal and even made it all the way to Las Vegas to the SEMA show. And now I have a noble M400 that was battered and bruised, burned and crashed, and we got this car looking amazing. It's not finished quite yet, but now when we got this Mark IV Supra, the chance to build this car couldn't be passed up. We found a bunch of parts, a bunch of damage, and now we are on our way to getting this car looking beautiful.
Welcome back to Jack Builds It, and welcome back to my Mark IV Supra build. In the last video, we got a ton of work done. We replaced the quarter panel, we used a factory machine to put on factory looking spot welds. You guys killed it with the likes. Go ahead and hit the like button right now, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this channel to 200,000 before the end of the year. Today, we're gonna check out what's going on right here. And you saw that in the last episode, and it wasn't good. Oh, 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 oh my gosh. 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, oh. No. It's weird. It's this area here that is pushed in a little bit, but this doesn't look that bad. It's like they just added filler to add filler kind of thing. Let me, jeez. Oh. Okay, it's getting thinner. I say we do some more investigating and find out how thick it is on the arch. This could get either better or worse. Oh yeah. Oh. So you're finding that a lot of this has rust starting underneath it. You can see all through here, all through here. It's on the areas that were sealed and not away, like, you know, they didn't have anything exposed. They had fresh paint, they had primer, they had all that on there. The reason why this happens is because you need to cover this stuff as fast as possible. When it sits in primer or it has any kind of open exposed metal, you're getting flash rust, and that's what causes things like this. So let's keep going. Let's see how much further this goes. Oh yeah, not good. All right, so before we do anything with stripping the car down to bare metal so we can epoxy prime it, we need to button up a bunch of little things on the car that we haven't taken care of quite yet. One of the things is this piece right here. This is actually the wiper bracket that goes on the cowl panel. We had to remove that to install our upper and lower rail. We also have a couple rips. There's places where people have drilled holes, all kinds of things that I just need to get taken care of and put in place before we move on to stripping this car down. So that's enough talking, like I always say. Let's get to work.
One of the most important parts of the welding process is getting your metal absolutely cleaned. Then when you're done with that, you want to put a good zinc-rich weld-through primer on there to protect this thing from rusting from the backside. Now that the wiper bracket is installed to the cowl panel here, I clean up and weld up my cowl panel right where it cracked from the frame coming over.
All right, now that we got all that stuff done, it's time to get this thing. Kyle, like, I'm in the middle of a video, man. You gotta mute your phone or something.
Sorry, it's these stupid spam messages I keep getting.
Why don't you use Surfshark?
Isn't Surfshark just a VPN?
They are a VPN, Kyle, but they offer a bunch of other cool stuff too, like identity protection. And one of the things that they offer is something that creates you a persona online, and it keeps you from getting those annoying messages.
Okay, I definitely need this, but what else can a VPN do?
I'm glad you asked, Kyle. One of the riskiest things you can do is go anywhere and use public Wi-Fi. Like, it's everywhere. I mean, you go to the store, you go to the airport, you go to Starbucks, they have public Wi-Fi. And it's a haven for hackers to get your data. It leaves you exposed to anybody that wants your personal data. With Surfshark, your data is encrypted, keeping things like your passwords, banking info, and private messages safe from prying eyes. It creates a secure, private connection no matter where you are, giving you the peace of mind you need when you check your emails or shop online. Speaking of shopping online, have you ever noticed how prices and flights and hotels or even products change depending on where you are? That's called price discrimination. Surfshark VPN solves this by letting you change your virtual location to find the best deals. Just switch your location, refresh the page, and boom, you could save hundreds. So protect your data, unlock the best prices, and browse securely. Go to surfshark.com/JackBuilds and get 4 extra months along with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, let's get back to the build. In the last video, we discovered there was some rust on the pillar here, and I'm pretty sure this rust is gonna be all the way through. Kyle, you know a little bit about rust.
I've experienced it.
If you guys didn't know
once or twice.
Kyle actually has his own YouTube channel, and Kyle does a lot of rust repair on an old car. An old car that's been in a mudslide, and it's very rusty.
Yeah. This is like light work.
This is heavy duty right here.
No.
This is major surgery.
Every viewer that you have that watches from like the Rust Belt of the United States is mocking you right
They
now.
all
They're
hate
like,
me.
They're like, this is nothing.
Well, let's take a look closer and see you can see here, like, it's pitted pretty good in certain areas. It's not like, you know, nothing like a Rust Belt thing, but that's all fixable. I think we hit that with the wire wheel. That's good, but I noticed this right here. See that, Kyle?
Oh, that's a hole.
That's a hole.
Oh, that's a good hole.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, that's thin. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's pretty thin.
Oh, baby.
That's pretty thin. I think, oh yeah, look right there too. On the edge, yeah,
We might need a patch.
this is gonna need a patch. But I have a solution, because remember, we bought that whole front end, and what came with that front end was the actual pillars, and before we left, we cut it off and kind of threw it in the back of the truck just in case, because we might need it. And turns out we might need it. So I'm gonna go outside and cut that apart and put that on the car. Let's go take a look at it real quick. So this is a Targa top roof line, or window line, I guess you could say, and these are the pillars here. A pillars right there. So as you can see, that's what it looks like inside, and that's what we need to get to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean off this pinch weld area right here, try not to cut myself again, and then I'm gonna cut this piece out as far as I need and replace that metal. That easy. And you're gonna get to clean up all of the rust.
Oh boy.
Once again, guys, give Kyle a huge thanks in the comments, because he is one of the hardest working men that I have ever come across. He really does put in all of the effort every day, and I can't thank him enough for that. He's helping me get this car moving along twice as fast as I got the Evo done. Besides finding more rust in the pinch weld area, Kyle started to look like a pincushion, because when these wire wheels come apart, they like to bust apart and stab into your skin. Thankfully, we had jackets and gloves on.
All right, a little bit of a progress report to see exactly where we're at here, and as we suspected, this whole section here is pretty bad, but we got this guy right here. So I'm basically going to make a patch panel with this all the way down to where the rust stops, cut it in, section this in. Not the OEM procedure that we would like to do, but it's gonna save this car, and it'll be a safe repair. It's not gonna be into the structure where we have all the high strength steels, if they even had that on these cars. But this over here, not too bad. I think I can treat this with some OSFO, and that'll be good. Definitely gonna have to do a patch right here. That's not good. These things right there, not so bad. I think I can get away with this. It's not terrible. You know, yeah, it's not poking through. So none of that's making holes, so we're good there. But over here, we got another hole right there, and I can see another one right here. Yeah, yep. So we're gonna have to patch that little section right there, get that squared away. And then over here where Kyle's at, you can see there's another little spot, and that's about it. I think beyond that, got a couple little things that we need to fix, but yeah, we're moving along, making progress. Let's get this thing cut out, get this new piece welded in place.
Here I use a spot weld drill bit to carefully drill through this outer skin. I don't want to go too far into the second layer because I don't want to compromise the structural steel underneath. Now I use a cutoff wheel to very carefully cut through this outer skin. I don't want to hit this bottom piece, as this is one of the most precision things that you can do. You do not want to damage this metal underneath, and I cannot stress that enough, because if you cut into that, it will take away from the structural integrity of the vehicle. Now with the skin removed, you can clearly see on the backside where the rust stains are peeking through. This would have definitely had problems with rust later on if I had not replaced this piece. Here I have Kyle clean up the new piece and get it ready to go back into place. As always, welded primer is applied to protect the backside of this panel from rusting in the future. With the new piece measured and cut, it is now ready to go back into place. It's very important to line up your piece very carefully and tack weld it into place. You don't want this piece to move, causing it to misalign. This was not the exact same piece or exact same spot where I took this piece from, so I had to use a saw here to cut and get the angle for where it slopes down on the A-pillar towards the fender. The last thing to do was to clean up all these random holes and get these things welded shut so that we were able to do our bodywork over top.
It's the next day. I'm not feeling that great. It's cold outside. This weather change has got me a little messed up, but we got a lot of work done yesterday. We got the cowl panel repaired and put in place. So this is the part that holds the wiper, and this is the part we had to remove to put these pieces in place. We used a section of the pillar that we got when we got our front end clip here and replaced that. Now, today we need to finish up doing these parts over here. There's a couple spots where there's some rust holes. I definitely want to take care of that and replace those sections so we don't have any more rust popping up later on when this car is painted, because we want this car to last forever. The front of the car, like I said yesterday, we're not going to work on this just yet. We're going to take this somewhere special and get that done, as well as the bottom. But over here on the other side, we've actually done this to both sides, but we've welded up the hole here in the rocker panel from where they had an aftermarket side skirt on it. And then back here, the exact same thing. About 5 or 6 holes here. We've welded up about 5 or 6 holes here. Today, we are going to discover, though, what is underneath this quarter panel right here. I'm not really that excited because we already found out what was going on right there, and I think it's gonna be just like that on the rest of the car. Hopefully we can straighten this. I can't find a quarter panel anywhere, and the only place that I can find them are in the UK, and I don't have the money to send that over here because we got some special parts possibly coming from the UK for another car. Also, we welded up a hole here. We welded up several holes across the back. They actually had screws going in here holding the headliner in place. Awesome. Same thing on this side over here. We got another hole right there where a screw came through the bottom and basically poked a hole in the top. All of that is buttoned up. Everything is ready to go now on those. There's a few more welds in the inside of the quarter panel like this right here that I actually didn't put back on whenever we put the quarter panel on. So that's the last weld right there. Once those are done, the next step is getting the interior cleaned. We got something special planned for that.
It doesn't matter whether it's rain or shine, whether you're feeling sick or you're feeling good, the show must go on. Literally. So that means no matter what, even if I'm not feeling that great, I still need to get in here and knock these pieces out. With all the bad metal cut away, it was time to cut up some of this scrap metal that I have from the clip that we got from before and do the same exact thing. Fit these pieces up and weld them into place. Here I use some weld-through primer on an acid brush to prevent any more rust from starting on the backside where I weld these panels back into place.
The inside of this car is filthy, and I don't like the way this sound deadening pad looks. I think we can put something a little bit nicer in there, but to get this out, we need to do something to get this out. I don't want to sit here and chip away at this all day, and I know a cool method that I've seen a lot used on Instagram, on YouTube, on a bunch of other things, and that is using dry ice. So we're going to break this up, we're going to set it on the floor, and we're going to break those up. Hopefully it works as cool as it does on Instagram and TikTok and all those other things. So,
have you never done this before?
I've never done this before. I'm gonna get some gloves on, and then we're gonna start putting the stuff on here, and hopefully it all just comes right apart, no problem. And
Easy peasy.
And then we get to clean it and make it super clean.
I tried to break up the ice as fine as possible so that I'm able to spread it as much as I can. This stuff was actually really expensive. I think I spent about $110 on this dry ice. And I want to keep my budget very low on this car like I've said in the past. I think we can finish this car for under $40,000.
See if we can hear this. Yeah, there it goes. Yep. It's literally cracking right now. That is freaking cool. Yeah, there you go.
As you can see, this breaks apart really easily with no sticky goo left behind. This is freaking awesome. What a cool hack. I highly recommend this.
You wanna see a cool trick?
Oh my gosh.
Don't ever do this. It's sublimating in my mouth right now.
That sounds like you just started an OnlyFans.
I can't tell you what the chemical reaction is that's happening. I just think it's freezing the glue so much that it breaks apart perfectly. It leaves no goo behind. And let me tell you something, before we took this stuff out, it was really gooey and nasty. And now it came apart extremely easy.
Okay, so now we got all of the sound deadening taken off the interior of this car. It looks really, really good now. There's a few things that we're gonna have to clean up later on. I'm not worried about those things right now. What I wanna do right now is get all of the dust, residue, dirt, there's rust pieces and things like that from grinding and whatever was done in the back right here. You can see just like little puddles of where they had rust dust. I assume what that is from is when they put that little antenna hole over there. I mean, maybe, who knows? There's been a million things done to this. It could have been done when they fixed the car over there. So one of the things we need to do though is get this interior completely clean so that we're able to have it painted and looking good again. And to do that, we're gonna use, again, stuff that we got sponsored here to the channel. Thank you guys so much. Super Clean. We're gonna get this thing super clean.
I am overwhelmed with all of the love and support that you guys have given me, and because of that, we have brought on so many new sponsors. Next year is going to be absolutely crazy because we're going to be working together with brands that I really love and care about, and I hope that you guys do too, because this is going to bring the channel to the next level.
We got the car completely cleaned. It is a total transformation. Take a look on the inside here. Now we have all of the sound deadening taken off. We have seam sealer left over, but we have to get this thing stripped here. I'm not gonna do that just now. I wanna go over the car and see what else we found. Check this out. So notice that and saw some lifting paint right there. I grabbed a little screwdriver, scraped it, and then we have a little bit of a rust hole. So not great. Definitely gonna have to repair that, but no big deal. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this car is I want to make this thing clean on the inside and outside. So we came back here and we stripped off all of the old sound deadening. We wiped everything down. You can actually tell this is a silver car now. It's not brown. You might be asking yourself, why haven't we pressure washed this car yet? So the reason I haven't pressure washed this car is because I want to put the car into metalwork and then epoxy it so that it has time to dry and close up really, really good. Then I'm gonna go get an additive that you add into the pressure washer that actually keeps the car from rusting and corroding, and you can seal right over it. And we're making great progress. It's the first week of December and we're already looking really good. There is a lot of damage right here on the car, and obviously you can see there's a lot of damage right here, a lot of body filler. I need to strip all of that off. But before I strip any of that off, before I get started on the repair of this side, because guys, I can't find a quarter panel anywhere, and the ones that I found are chopped up in places where I don't want to have to redo and weld in certain sections. I think I can fix this quarter panel. I think it's going to be possible, and one of the things that I got to do before I fix this quarter panel is figure out the exact shape of this right here. I still need to get a bumper, but before I get that bumper and find out whether or not that's going to line up, one of the things that I can do is use the mirror image of this edge right here on this part of the car. So what I've done is this piece right here is the exact mirror image. As you can see on the edge, there is a Sharpie mark where I have traced out that edge. And what I did was I lined it up with this piece right here. I put that right there like that. And you can see now it lines up with the edge somewhat. It's not terribly off, but you can see it's kind of out there, and then, you know, you got a big section there that's messed up, and then all of a sudden it disappears. So up here, I think the reason why that disappears and doesn't come out is because this needs to actually move slightly out like that. So that tells me that piece in there has been rolled in. So the next step for me is getting that piece to roll out. So I need to make a tool so that I'm able to do that. All right, so this piece here is what I'm gonna use to pull out the side of the car. I'm gonna make this fit right behind here, exactly where I need it to fit out, and then I'm gonna apply pressure with a pull bar and then hammer on all of these areas
that are in still a little bit, and that should relieve some of the stress and help me get that line back, and I can keep testing it with our new little template here. If that doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to just fill it up with Bondo like they did. Now that we have this piece here drilled out, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these bolts right here from Bolt Depot. Thank you again, Bolt Depot, for sponsoring the Jack Builds It channel. It's absolutely epic, and a lot of these bolts are going to be used when we go and replace suspension components that go onto this car here. So that's going to be a super big help when it comes to the Supra. So this bolt right here, I'm going to slide this through like that, have this sitting on the inside edge of the quarter panel. Then I'm going to bolt this here, right, like that, but I'm going to have a chain with a puller on the other end, and I'm going to have my buddy Kyle, who is a little bit bigger than me, and he can lean on that stick and then pull it out, and I can tap around the damage, and then we can get a fixed quarter panel, hopefully.
I like to give my hammers names, and I like to call this one here the Gentle Persuader. You can gently persuade the metal where you want it to go. Now I use the mini persuader along with my metal dolly behind the panel to knock down the highs and bring out the lows. I really wasn't sure this was going to work. This was something I actually dreamed up the day before here, and having Kyle there to help me with this was absolutely instrumental in fixing this repair here. This part of the quarter panel had a lot of strength holding it the other direction. So what I did was I got a little bit of heat along with the hammer and heated this thing up and pulled it out of the way. It actually worked really, really well.
We made some major progress with this pole. We put the template in place here, slide it up to where it's supposed to go. Take a look at that, Kyle. Look at that.
That's pretty.
If I move it down even a little bit right there, make that about pretty even, that's nice and lined up. If you remember from before, it was like this. It was in here. Like, that came out that much. So that tells me that we've gotten this area as straight as we can get it. We need to make a little bit more movement in this area right here. This is definitely going to have to be heat shrunk because the metal is stretched really bad. There's like a belly. It's got a dad bod going on right there, but it's stretched pretty bad all through that section. I think the next step though is the fun part, Kyle.
Okay. I don't like the way that you said that.
Yeah, it's not fun. We're gonna put this thing outside. Let's strip all of the Bondo and all the paint off of this quarter panel and find out how bad this really is underneath and whether or not it's worth actually fixing. It's worth fixing. It's my car. It's a Supra.
This is worth nothing right now.
Is that a Supra?
This is worth scrap metal.
Not anymore.
I'll give you $4 for it.
Deal. No, it's mine.
Oh, almost had the cheapest Supra in the world.
All right.
You would have to pay me to take this thing away from you.
Jack just said I agree.
Jack concurs.
And I hate you both.
It wasn't even 10 seconds into using the drum tool to remove some of the paint and the body filler, and we found a hole in the quarter panel. This was not looking promising, and it was definitely a little depressing. Unfortunately though, this is what we got to work with, so we're gonna make this work.
Kyle, did you have this much body filler on your Camaro?
From here down,
Yeah.
I didn't even have metal.
Yeah, they just made body filler.
It's all body filler. It could be worse.
It could be worse. We both think that we can fix this car. Well, by we, I mean me. Not
Me.
you.
Clearly me.
Me. Let's point out what we've discovered though, Kyle, because I think this is pretty hilarious, and unfortunately, this is kind of what we're gonna run into on this car. It's not like Madonna.
What?
It's not been touched for the very first time. Take a look right here. Kyle uncovered even more holes. There's one right there that just didn't fall through. Bad welds, all kinds of stuff. But if you can see all of this shadowing and mapping right there, that's all dents. That's all waviness in the panel that never was fixed. It was literally just body fillered over. All of this right here, if you run your hand over it, it just feels like it's doing a dance. This is really, really bad, but I think I can fix this without having to replace this panel. One of the things though that we noticed was down here.
Oh boy.
That's some thickness right there.
Pick that piece up. Let me see that piece. Dude,
That's a good cookie right there.
that's a chunk. We should
Yum.
sign that. We should sign that and give that away.
Why do you want to give people trash?
Oh,
Stop
man.
hoarding, Jack.
Wait a minute.
We have enough hoarders in this shop as it is.
I didn't tell him to say that. He said that on his own.
One of the most important things about using this tool here is to keep this tool moving. You don't want to sit in the same place for too long. This will cause a lot of damage to the metal by heating it up and warping the metal really badly. Even though this quarter panel was the really bad one, we definitely still don't want to cause more damage having even more work to do on this car already. Besides the process of using body filler to straighten a car, removing paint and body filler with a barrel tool like this is absolutely insane because it covers everything and anything in dust. If you look at the floor is covered in dust. If you look at Kyle and I, we're covered in dust. The car is covered in dust. Everything in this area is covered in dust. Let's just say it's not clean. As bad as the bodywork was on the other quarter panel, the amount of paint that was on this car was absolutely insane. There was definitely 4 or 5 paint jobs, and 2 of them being single stage paint, which is extremely thick. So let's just say there was a ton of material on this car.
Dude, this is an insane amount of work. And again, I want to say thank you, Kyle, because honestly, dude, this is something that would have taken me twice as long. I would have only been able to get maybe one side done tonight and had to come back and do the next side. But we got the roof done, got a quarter panel on this side done. We got most of the rocker panel done and some of the A-pillar, a lot of the pillar up over there. We left this back here because I think when I'm gonna blast the car from the bottom, I wanna flip the car over and I wanna go and get this thing sandblasted so that I can have a clean surface to work with. And we will be priming this in stages. I would love to be able to prime it all at once, but unfortunately we don't have the ability to do that, and we don't have a compressor currently right now. Again, you see the quarter panel, you see how bad it is, but we got a lot of work done. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna get this quarter panel straightened out tomorrow, and I'll have all the metal work done and ready to go into primer, and that way, when it comes to priming this thing, it's ready to go. But I mean, look at this roof. It looks great. I mean, look at this right here. This is where you can tell someone tried to shrink the metal. So, and I know exactly why they did what they did here, because I used to do this and I thought it would work, but the best bet is to just actually use something to shrink the metal. You see this right here? It's just, so they just hammered it in, right? So you see these strike marks on there, and they're going kind of sideways. That's from taking a pick hammer and trying to walk out the metal that has been stretched into other directions. Yeah, it doesn't work. It works sometimes, but that's just not worth it and not good. So gonna definitely fix that dent right there. But I mean, we got the gutters cleaned out here. We've got our rust spot exposed, so now that has to be repaired. That's a pretty easy, quick repair to do. Got all of this stripped right here. So now, tomorrow, when I get in here, I'm gonna grind down all the welds, prep all the metal surfaces to completely get it ready for epoxy primer, but I'm gonna tackle the biggest problem, which is fixing that quarter panel. I think that quarter panel is repairable. It's not the prettiest looking quarter panel, but I think we can make this thing look really good and close enough to where when we do body work on this, it's not that bad. It's gonna be a very thin layer of filler on this, just like what we had to do with the Evo, because if you guys remember before, I got that used quarter panel on the Evo, and that thing had had a lot of body work on it before. It wasn't big dents, but it was dents everywhere. This is big dents and they're everywhere, so sweet. Dude, thank you so much. You helped me do a ton of work today, and I can't wait to freaking get the rest of this car finished. We can go rip on this thing, so.
It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be sick. Let's call it a night.
It's been an amazing transformation with the Supra. It looks really bad, not that great. There's a lot of bad bodywork here, there's a lot of bad bodywork here, and a lot of bad bodywork here, but I think we have everything we need to get this car back to a factory spec or even better. And we got some people here today. There's been a pretty big crowd around the shop, and I mean, this has been awesome. It's been fun. So what do you guys think? Is this Supra?